Hi, I'm Sarah Tummerdahl. I'm the local Stine seed rep. I'd like to thank AgriMAX for having us here at this plot. They do a great job every year, and I am lucky that Stine Seed gets to be a part of this. I'll tell you a little bit about Stine Seed Company. They are the largest family-owned seed company in the United States. They sell corn and soybeans. Stine is widely known as a breeding company. Beans in particular, but we also breed corn. Over 2/3 of the soybeans grown in the United States have originated from some portion of Stine's breeding program. Enlist E3 beans are no different. Stine has been a leader in bringing Enlist beans to the marketplace. Because they're such an active role maker in the breeding, Stine has access to the best lines. Some of the things about Enlist beans that are favorable, it gives you a lot of different chemical options. You can spray them with glyphosate, also known as Roundup. You can also spray them with glufosinate, which is typically Liberty, and you can also spray them with 2,4-D. This has some benefits because there's less off-target movement and there are not a lot of the rules that you have to follow with some of the other trait platforms. Every year the lines are getting better and better. Anytime you have a new trait, there's kind of a learning curve to figuring out what works well in different parts of the country. And we're working quickly and actively to find the best stuff for each individual area. Today, the first variety we'll talk about is the 003 EB62. This is Stine's earliest Enlist bean. It's actually about an 07 maturity. It has the A gene for Phytophthora and actually is one of the better IDC beans we have. It also is soybean cyst nematode resistant. The next one is 01 EA63. It is an 01 maturity. It is pretty good on IDC. As 01 maturity soybeans go, it's going to be a pretty good yielder. It can do well amongst any 01 beans that'll be in its same maturity. It is pretty good on white mold, and it also has the 3A gene for Phytophthora. 03 EB02 is an 03 maturity. It has Phytophthora root rot tolerance. It doesn't have a particular gene to it, but it is cyst nematode resistance. Again, this one would be a good white mold option. 03 EA03 is another 03 variety. This one actually does have an A gene for Phytophthora. From the data we've seen thus far, I think this EA will outyield the EB in really good field conditions. However, it does not have the cyst gene. So it kind of depends on, if you need that or not. The 04 was a bean we had last year. It is not continued for this year, so we'll just skip right over that one. 05 EA23s are a really big selling bean up in this area. It's one of the better ones we've found for IDC. It seems like we haven't found any areas where this bean has struggled. It's an 05 maturity. It has the A gene for Phytophthora, and it has the cyst gene. It has good yield, and like I said, the IDC is pretty good. So this is a good solid bean that is widely grown. 06 EC20 is a new bean for this year. It's an 06 maturity. I just learned it got a little dose of fertilizer over the top, which yellowed it up a little bit. So it might not exactly be indicative here of what it should look like. This gene has Phytophthora tolerance, and it is also cyst resistant. Between the two different 06s here, we also have the 06 EC23. The differences from what I'm seeing thus far, I think the 23 is going to be a little better on IDC. They both have cyst. The 23 is going to be a little better on Phytophthora from what I've seen. And it'll be interesting to see how they yield. I guess right now I'm going to lean towards the 23 just based on what I've seen in plots. 07 EA36 is an 07 maturity. We've had this one for a couple years now. It is not great on IDC. You have to be careful with this one. You want to keep it on some better ground. It can definitely yield though. It has very great yield potential, but you got to keep it off the hotter IDC ground. 08 GC22 is actually not an enlist bean. It is a Roundup GT27 bean. That means you cannot spray 2,4-D on it, just Roundup or Liberty. This one also has the cis gene, the 1A gene for Phytophthora, and it'll be a good white mold option. 08 EC22 is a new bean for this year, another 08 maturity. We have lots of new varieties this year, so there's lots of options, and we're learning about them right along with everyone else as we see them. Stine does testing on the beans for years in plots all over the Midwest. It's always interesting though, once we get them into a specific area, to see how their performance relates to what we've seen in plots, and sometimes some work better than others. It's all kind of a learning thing. Right now, these 08 EC22s look like they're maybe a little not as good on IDC compared to what we might need. So this is one we should keep an eye on and see how it does. It does have the cyst tolerance. 09 EA22 is the last one here. It's an 09 maturity. You're going to have pretty good IDC. This one I have seen some white mold in it, so you got to keep an eye on it. It is a little taller and bushier, so on those hot, humid days that can run into some issues. However, the yield is amazing on this one. I like this bean a lot. It's definitely one to consider. Thanks.